All right. Fire them up.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Genre of Your Life podcast, a show all about movies, TV, and the genres that define us. This is episode number 61. I am one of your hosts, Doug Jones. With me, as always, is my amazing, wonderful, spectacular, incredible, amazing co-host. It is the one, the wonderful, it is Mr. Nick Johnson. How's it going, Nick?
Man, I'm doing really good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Happy Thursday, man. We are, dude, it's already almost end of October, man. What the hell's going on?
That's because it feels like it just started.
It just started, man. We're still in spooky season and shit. Where's August? Where's October going, man? Like, calm down, slow down.
Bro, in a couple of months, 2015 will have been 10 years ago. That's fucking crazy.
Oh my god, dude. That feels so weird. That
feels so old, bro. You know, my knee hurts. I keep finding all these gray hairs, bro.
What's going on?
I think
man?
I got to get a new prescription for my glasses, man.
Oh, bro, no, don't say that, man. Don't say that. I'll be honest with you. The first movie I saw in 2015, first week, was Taken 3.
Oh wow, Taken 3.
Taken 3 was the first movie I saw.
I forgot about that one.
That was the first movie I saw in 2015. Because I always remember the first movie I see of every year for some reason, and the last one. And
that's a good way to bookmark like each year.
And unfortunately, 2015 did not start with a bang with Taken 3.
Yeah, Taken 3 was pretty rough.
It was
kind of rough.
It's kind of rough. But wow, man.
Yeah.
You're right, man. 10 years. Holy shit. Golly.
Oh my gosh.
Golly. But boy, oh boy. But welcome everyone to the show. If you're new to the show, welcome to the podcast. If you're returning, welcome back to the podcast. We are so happy you returned for more shenanigans and more ramblings about all things movie, TV, and all things entertainment. As always, my friends, you can find the show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music. It was with a full audio show on our YouTube page. Midway Avenue Productions. YouTube.com/Midway Avenue Productions. We are close to 600 followers. Subscribers, Nick. We're getting to that 600 mark, man. We're very close. Expendables 4 at 108,000 views now.
Oh hell yeah! 110. Let's get it.
We're moving on. We're moving along. So definitely check out if you're on YouTube. Thank you for listening on YouTube. Again, we still have a full audio show on all podcast platforms. We are definitely hoping to get the video element of the show running soon for all you lovely folks. Look out for that. But as always, my friends, you can please rate, subscribe to the show. Whether on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube Music. It means a lot to us. To our Apple Podcast listeners, we really need your support there. Again, we love you, Spotify and Amazon and YouTube Music people, but to our Apple Podcast fans, we do need your help getting to 200 ratings on Apple Podcasts. We were at 50, but I'm sorry, Apple, did we do something wrong to piss you guys off? Now we're at 39, so I don't know what happened, what went wrong. Like, you guys must love Night Swim, apparently, because... It's a little ongoing joke for the show. But to our Apple Podcast audience, please help us get to 200 ratings. So please rate the show. Share with your friends, family, movie fans, podcast fans. It really means a lot to us because, for Apple Podcasts, the more ratings you have, the more coverage for press stuff, festivals, cons, stuff like that. It's kind of the really heart and soul of podcasting now. We still love you, Apple. Love you, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music fans. But to our Apple Podcast family, we do definitely need your help. Getting to that 200 ratings will help us out. Please help us, please. It truly means a lot to us. So thank you all so much for listening and supporting this show. Again, last week we announced that we're going to South by Southwest next March if we're in Austin. So we have a lot in store for you all next year. But you know what? We're going to end 2024 with a bang, right, Nick?
Yes, sir. You already know.
Man, we have a lot in store for you guys for the rest of the year. So stay on the lookout for that. All righty, guys. With that down. Nick, I think I asked you this maybe maybe a year ago on the podcast, but since we are in spooky season, Halloween season, what is your favorite horror movie of all time?
You know what? The first horror movie that comes... No, actually, you know what? Fuck that. My number one favorite horror movie because I almost said the Mothman Prophecies. That's my number two.
Hmm.
That's my number two. But my number one favorite is this film called Skinamarink. I saw it a couple
Oh, that's
years
right.
ago. You remember that one? Because I'm pretty sure I talked about it on the podcast, but it was the way it was pitched to me was like you're either gonna hate it or you're gonna love it because everything about this movie is just different from any
Yeah.
other horror movie. So I'm like, I got to see that because I'm like I got to see like what's so different about it because I hear that a lot, but I feel like seldom do I actually agree with it. But this movie, Skinamarink, it's told from like it's like because I don't want to spoil it. Like I definitely recommend it to everybody listening. But the story is it's like two kids in a house and it's like it's nighttime, but it's like just like weird shit going on. And just like it's like the cinematography, if you could call it that, was very unique. It's one of those movies too where it's like um to I'll try to like put it into words, but basically it's these two kids. It's a little brother and a sister, and they're one of their parents leaves, and it's like they're kind of stuck in the house with this entity, and it's just and then craziness ensues. I'll leave it at that. But it's just it's just so different from not just any other horror movie, but just any other film. And because it's like there's like yes, there's a story, but it's kind of like it's so weird. Like it's not really shot in your average film type way. Like
Yeah.
everything is kind of a little bit off center. It's like hella film grain, which to me I actually liked because that film grain it kind of it looks like when you're like in a house and it's at night and you see all those little tiny dots everywhere just like moving around. Somehow this film was able to emulate that perfectly, and the movie made my skin crawl when I watched it. I was enthralled. I was on the edge of my seat, and I'm funny enough, I haven't watched it since. Not necessarily because it was like too scary, but it's just like it's one of those movies where it's like I just like man, it was such an experience. But yeah, I think I am gonna watch that pretty soon. I
You know
might
what's
have to watch it by myself. I don't know that my fiance. I don't know that it's like necessarily her cup of tea, but yeah, it's called Skinamarink, my favorite horror movie of all time, just because of just how different it is. And this film also another thing that I really enjoyed about it was or is that it does not pull its punches at all. Like
Mm.
there was something going on with one of the characters, and it was, if I remember correctly, it seemed like it was out of the blue, but it wasn't just for shock value. Like it was a very specific thing. And I've seen some people they'll like interpret the scene in the movie overall, like they'll interpret it a certain way, which like on one hand like that interpretation makes sense, but you could also look at it as you could also look at it like the other way, like without the film theory, and either way it works.
Yeah.
You can look at it as okay, maybe it was just in their head, or like maybe it actually was going on, and both ways or both perspectives make sense. But no, I love that movie so much. But my number two horror movie is the Mothman Prophecies. I almost said Mothman Prophecies for number one, but that's my number two right.
Skinamarink. Gotcha.
Yeah, Skinamarink. That movie is insane.
I remember I still haven't seen it yet, and I think it's on Hulu now. So I'm probably gonna watch it for Halloween this year.
It's on Hulu.
Yes, sir. It's on Hulu. Yes, sir.
Oh, babe, we're watching Skinamarink on
On Hulu.
Halloween. It's on Hulu. All right, bet. Hey, we're watching it, y'all. She just agreed.
So it's that was
That's a legally binding contract.
that was your like Jerry Seinfeld like Kramer moment, like walking merging. But I remember
Oh,
because
man.
if you don't mind, humble plug. I think you also had a whole episode about it on Dawning Vision, correct?
Dang, you know what I think we did? Yeah, we kind of yeah, it was like a review. I think we might have no, yeah, it was a review for it, and we talked a little bit about just kind of again like what we like really liked about it and just what specifically stood out, what
Yeah,
specifically made this film stand out as opposed to other horror movies. Because
yeah.
to this day, and I've seen a lot of movies, y'all. To this day, I have never seen a movie like Skinamarink,
Interesting.
horror or otherwise. It's not a movie, it's an experience.
I like that. What does he say in Tenet? Don't understand it, just feel it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You gonna apply it there too, right?
No man, you already know. You already
Interesting.
know. But
I
yeah, how,
gotta
how
watch
about
that.
you though, man? What's your favorite horror movie?
You know, I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I think I really got into horror more and more in college. I really do think because like talking to you about horror stuff and watching horror stuff, obviously, for like film class and stuff like that, I really got into more horror a lot. I think like sophomore, junior year, especially into
Hmm.
horror. I'm trying to think like, right now, this might be because it's not recency bias, but when I think about, I mean, Shaun of the Dead is more of a comedy to me. It's horror elements, but it's much more of a comedy.
Hmm.
But I will say, I mean, it's gonna be a tongue like a little crazy, but I really love 2018's reboot of Halloween. Like I just love that movie for some
Huh.
reason. I just
Okay.
love it. I think I just watched the first one like yeah 2018 October 2018. I think we were juniors in college. I just watched the first one for the first time like a week before, so I was hyped for this new one. And for some reason, again, maybe because I was like like the age, whatever. But I remember seeing that opening weekend, whatever, like, or on Halloween weekend with like a huge crowd at the AMC Center Point by ASU, and just the vibe in that audience was like clapping, going crazy. Where I was like, "Whoa, this is awesome!" And I do think that one's more brutal than the first one. Obviously, first one that has its moments for the time, obviously, but for some reason, I just really loved that first reboot of Halloween by Danny McBride, David Gordon Green. It just worked for me on all levels. There's a really cool tracking shot. Remember that cool tracking shot where he walks through the garage and gets the hammer, and he walks through like the house and like he just like beats that old woman with the hammer, but you don't see it. You don't see it. You hear the baby crying, whatever. You see him like walk through the house. And it's so cool. And it's so shot real well. You're like, damn, like these guys did Pineapple Express. Now they're doing Halloween.
Growth.
Growth, yeah. And also that was also the time, like again, when comedians were doing horror, like Jordan Peele, John Krasinski, David Gordon Green, Danny
Hmm.
McBride. Like that was the year of like a lot more people were doing a lot more comedians or actors and directors were doing horror stuff, and I'm like, wow, it was really cool to see that kind of change. But I just love that movie so much. And Halloween Kills and Ends. Are they great movies? No, I'll be honest, but I still enjoy them for what they are. They're very
Yeah.
they're very like they're very silly, and but they're not as good as the first one. I do think they should have ended the after the first one just ended, but the first one made like so much money on like a $5 million budget movie, which is like
You no, because
Blumhouse's.
I really thought that they were gonna end it with the 2018
Yeah.
one because it was like, okay, like they're bringing him back and he's all old and it doesn't look like it's gonna be any supernatural shenanigans going on. Because I remember like with some of those sequels, it was like, well, like his body is possessed by something, or like
Yeah.
he was like conjured up by like witches or whatever. And it was just the concept of the Michael Myers character. It's like generally, yes, that's scary. It's just some dude going around killing people. That's just like fucking terrifying. And the idea that he kind of doesn't really have a reason to is
Hmm.
also a bit scary to me because it's scary to me because I don't really understand the motivation because there is none. But like for whatever reason, it's like just mentally I can't really grasp that. But
Yeah.
again, like going into the whole like, well, he's the embodiment of evil. Like there was a certain point where it wasn't really working for me because it was like,
Hmm.
well, how does he just keep not fucking dying?
Right.
Like this man's got like I think he got like his head cut off. He's been like shot, like burned, like, and he's still alive. So with the 2018 one, spoilers, I'm not gonna spoil the ending, but there was something going on like at the ending for those of you who haven't seen it yet. But at this point, I was like, okay, they're finally gonna kill it because he's got to be like 70, 80 years old right now, right? They're
Yeah.
finally gonna do it. And then it ended in such a way where it's like, yeah, we got like two more coming out. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was
Yeah.
like it was a great movie, but the ending was kind of like, okay, fine. So now it's like now I got to watch the other two, and then I I watched the other two like with Halloween ends specifically, like it took me out of it a little bit just because
Hmm.
of I forget the character's name, but he was like the new Michael because they
Oh
had
yeah,
this whole thing where it's like they're like transferring the essence or the energy or whatever to different people, and
yeah,
it's not
Corey.
really, yeah,
Yeah.
Corey, because it was like it's not really like the person that makes him like what he is, like it's like the trauma or something like that, and it was like, oh, okay, sure, I guess, but like the way that one ended was incredibly cathartic to me. Like it was like they did again, like they didn't hold back any punches. They were like, no, like this is the final fucking movie. So I really appreciated that. But no, I definitely liked Halloween 2018. I like that one a lot actually. Yeah.
It's so good. It's
It
really
is, yeah.
very rewatchable too. But another, and yeah, no, to your point, yeah, it's like I just, yeah, it really could have been just okay, this is it. And I do think that I'll be honest, this is no shade to them. They think they make really good material. I don't think Blumhouse has made a good sequel before. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I like Purge Election Year the most out of all the Purge movies, but
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say like they're good movies, but
Right.
they're very enjoyable. But I think back to like Insidious. Like Insidious has a bunch of movies that I don't feel like are really good as like the first one, especially the first or second one. And I just don't
Yeah.
think they really cracked the code with sequels yet. Again, never say never. They probably could down the road, but I just don't think they're really good at kind of like making really like good follow up films. They're very better off, kind of like Todd Phillips, kind of better off doing
Oh wow.
doing
Yeah,
one
low key.
doing one offs. So go back to last week's episode of Todd Phillips, is doing one offs. Again, Glass, not Glass. I'm sorry. Split worked because it was a surprise sequel to Unbreakable. Sorry, spoiler.
Mhm.
But they haven't cracked the code yet with that, and I think also they didn't really learn from the mistakes of the Halloween sequels, where it was like, like you had Busta Rhymes fighting,
That's
Michael
insane.
Myers, trick or treat,
Forgot about that. Oh man,
like
I think Paul Rudd was in one of those movies
he
too.
was. He played the whoever Anthony Michael Hall played in the Halloween Kills.
That's right.
He plays like the kid that she was babysitting in the first film, for the very 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 OG Halloween, like from 78, 77.
That's just so random. Because going
It's
back to
very
your
random.
exhibit point, I'm like, why did they do that? Like, nothing against exhibit, but something about them early 2000s horror movies, like, just kind of weird. I think it was just the early 2000s was kind of a weird time.
Oh, for sure, for
Because
sure.
even like Freddy versus Jason, like some of the characters and just like how they like interacted, I'm like, this just seems a little bit weird to me. I don't know.
It's weird. Yeah, it's very odd. That's why I was like, you guys didn't really learn your lessons with the sequels. What people
Mhm.
get trashed on, because the first one was so smart. The first Halloween 2018 was smart because it rebooted the entire franchise and it was sequel to the original. It heard all that garbage and crap that like came
Yeah.
after the original one, and that was so smart. But now it's like now you guys kind of like you kind of did what y'all didn't want to do in the first place, which is kind of sequelize these movies. And again, they weren't really well received or critical. I mean, I mean, they made money, but they weren't like that first one made so much money. So it was like, oh man. But I do think, I remember watching it with you in college the opening weekend. Also, that experience was
Oh
like,
yeah.
wow, like this is a packed house. People like showed up. That movie made so much. Movie made gangbusters of money. Where it was like, wow, like who would have thought it would work? And it worked. Um, so I think second place, special place in my heart, definitely would be it. However, the more I watch it, the more I love it. Is Barbarian. I fucking love Barbarian.
I gotta rewatch Barbarian because I only saw it the one time in theaters.
It's
I
so good.
loved it. Admitted, I do feel like it left a little bit to be
Oh,
desired,
for sure.
but it was either way, like it was so like again, it was such a unique experience. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah,
Um,
it really
I just
was.
I just wanted them to go kind of down that rabbit hole a little bit further. Like when she
Yeah,
goes down and it's just fucking like miles and miles of like
tunnels.
those underground tunnels and shit. My because my only thing is like I can't wait to see what like pops out of it. And then it was kind of just like the one thing, and while that one thing was still like it wasn't like whack or anything like that, but it was just it was a little bit like that's it. Because also I'm like, you telling me this one dude just built an entire, essentially a fucking neighborhood underground by
Hmm.
himself, and nobody knew
No
about
one
it?
knew about it. Yeah, it's a little
That's
far
and then
fetched.
he just fucking stayed down there. I'm like, bro, oh my God, my mind is racing with it because I'm like, I don't know how you got to that point, my guy. That's just insane.
No, it's insane. It
It
is
is.
definitely far fetched. But the director of that said really cool. He said it's a David Fincher movie on the top, and Sam Raimi movie in the bottom. Like
Wow, love
right,
that. I
right.
fucking love that. Because one thing, speaking about the whole David Fincher movie on top, like when she goes to the house and it's Bill Skarsgård's character,
Hmm.
the thing I love about that is like the whole time I'm like, okay, is he the bad guy, or is he just, because he kept like going back and forth, not in like a poorly written, inconsistent way, but just in a, we're watching it from her perspective, and like sometimes he does something that might be seen as like, like nice or polite or charming or whatever, and then
Yeah.
other times like he just seems a little bit creepy, but it's like there was still, interestingly enough, like a chemistry between the two. So it
Mhm.
was, the movie, it had you guessing the whole time.
Yeah.
So that definitely worked for the film.
It what I think was that Krager did really well is that he kind of subverted your expectations. Like when you think Bill Skarsgård, you
Yep.
think of like Pennywise, of like, oh, this guy's like handsome, but he's kind of creepy at the same time. Like,
No, yeah, because as soon as he pops up on screen, I'm like, it's him.
yeah, yeah,
It's him.
right,
He's the
right.
killer.
And
You feel me?
and that's why I always talk about good marketing. The marketing of that movie was so smart because like they only show that scene of like, yes, wait, I'm here first. Like this is I'm saying this Airbnb, and then like it shows like just like her walking to the house, and all you hear is a scream, and you think like you said, oh, it's him. He's the fucking whatever, and it's like, oh shit. And this is the way the movie fucking goes crazy after that is like, oh my lord, and it's just really eerie, really like unsettling, but it is a really good job kind of just like subverting your expectations and this is gonna happen but watch this. So I really do love Barbarian. It's one of my new favorite films to recommend to anyone. Like if you're a horror fan or a thriller fan, like definitely watch Barbarian. I think it's on Hulu and Prime now, so definitely check that. With my boy Curtis today at work, I was like, bro, you love horror, watch Barbarian. I got you, man, I'm watching it. So I'm like, definitely watch Barbarian too. If you've seen it before, guys, this movie is bonkers, but it's a really cool, awesome recent horror film that just made a lot of money. But also Disney, what the fuck? Why is there no Blu-ray release? I want the physical copy of this movie. Make it happen, please. I want to buy this on Blu-ray. It made so much money. What are you guys doing?
They're not selling it on Blu-ray right now?
Never. They have. Nope. Mm-mm.
What the? Come on, Disney. You're
Mm-mm.
better than this.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Nothing, dude. I was like, it's the one of the few Fox movies that they made the past couple years that has no physical release. I'm just like, come on, guys. Come on, help me help
That's
you.
so fucking bizarre.
All right, it is weird. I'm like, come
What you
on.
holding out on us for?
I know, dude. It's shouldn't have bought Fox. Just saying, shouldn't have bought Fox. Speaking of Fox and Disney, for the first time, I watched it a little bit during COVID, but it went away like the next day. So I watched the first 5 minutes. I just watched Ready or Not for the first time.
Ready now? Which one? Not with Samara Weaving.
Yes, sir.
Oh, how was that?
Dude, this movie's fucking awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta get on that.
This movie's awesome because it's an original horror film, well, horror thriller, I would say, more thriller. These guys, Radio Silence, did that. I think they did one of the VHS films. I forget. Let's pull up which one they did. But they also did one of my favorite movies of the year, Abigail, which I loved.
I remember you were telling me about that one.
I fucking loved Abigail. That movie broke my heart because like it didn't do well. But also original. But you guys also did the last two Scream movies. They did Scream 5 and Scream 6.
Okay, nice.
They did the first VHS film in 2012. They were part of the 10 directors.
Damn.
Damn. So there was 10 directors on VHS, and they had a segment called Halloween '98. So that's them. They did a movie called Devil's Due in 2014. Can't. It was a Fox movie too. Devil's Due with Allison Miller. Yeah. Okay. Didn't really do well, unfortunately. A movie called Southbound in 2015. Yeah, it's an indie film. Yeah, and, the Orchard, yeah, which is a very, very like I think it was rated the VOD studio. So that was that. But also too, look, 8 directors on that movie.
Jeez.
So different like segments, whatever. And then the first really big hit was Ready or Not. I think Ready or Not came out right when Disney bought Fox. So like there was like no marketing. I think it came out we were like seniors in college. I remember I think Joel was like, this movie's fucking awesome. And then I think we tried to go sing it and it was gone because it was like, Disney and New Fox did their whole like, movies like go away, go over there, go over there. But I think it did pretty well for a small budget movie. I think it did really well on VOD too. But thought it was awesome. I think you like it a lot. It's because it's how it's filmed for a $5-6 million budget movie. It's filmed really well, and it's really kind of like ooh, like what's gonna happen next. And I think they've announced the second movie coming out maybe next year or the year after. So that's cool to see. But dude, for the longest time, bro, it was on. There was no streaming service that had it for the past 3 years. Like no joke. HBO Max had it in 2021. Like I remember watching it on the time. I fell asleep. I went back the next day. It was gone. Like just gone.
Wow.
And I was like, well, what the fuck? I mean, you could rent it for like $15. And I was like, okay, sure. But then like it was not on a streaming service for like years until Hulu got it back on last week. So I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I'm going to watch it now. And it was awesome. That was really good.
Okay. I'll add it to the list.
Definitely worth the watch. So they did Scream 5, Scream 6. I thought Scream 6 was better than Scream 5 personally. And I fucking loved Abigail. Abigail was awesome. But again, no one saw it. And I was like, no, it was so good. It was so fun. But yeah. Ooh, that's cool. They're doing sweet. They're remaking Escape from New York. That's going to be sick.
The remake?
Yeah, they're doing the remake of it. That's going to be cool.
Okay.
I love the first one. I love the first Escape from New York. Probably one of my favorite John Carpenter movies. The sequel is pretty bad. That sequel, Escape from LA, is awful. God, it's so bad. That's so bad. But if they're doing the remake of that I'll be interested. You guys are really good directors. So, yeah, definitely check out Ready or Not. I think you would dig it a lot. I think Kaylin would like it too, actually. Because it's definitely more like dark comedy thriller.
I do like dark comedy thrillers.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the watch. I thought it was really good.
Okay, good.
That was really good.
Good. Yeah, I'm gonna put that on the list for sure.
Yeah, and these guys, like I see them in interviews, stuff like that. They're really, really likable dudes, and they just love horror movie. They love horror movies. So, I thought they bring the Scream franchise back to like the front too. So, yeah, good filmmakers. All right. So, guys, to our audience and listeners, obviously, let us know in the comments below what are your favorite horror movies or favorite Halloween movies. Let us know in the comments, either on YouTube or Spotify, Apple. We want to hear from you guys. It is spooky season, so let us know your favorite horror picks and recommendations. Alrighty, guys, moving on to our review of the night. So, Nick and I finally got to see the really buzzed about, really critical, really have positive reviewed SNL biopic called Saturday Night, directed by the great Jason Reitman. And if you're an SNL fan, I probably heard about this. I think this was like really quick shotly filmed. But if you don't know, SNL Saturday Night takes place basically. It's the first night of SNL. It's like the hour and a half leading up to the movie, and it is like it shows like who you have Chevy Chase, you have Garrett Morris, you have Gilda Radner, you have Dan Aykroyd, or whatever, and it's literally the first hour. Again, it's not remaking the first sketches or whatever of the movie. It is literally that chaotic first hour and a half leading up to the first ever taping of SNL when NBC didn't know what they were going to do. They're going to put on Tonight Show, whatever. It was like Lorne Michaels' kind of first call to fame, and all these amazing actors that came on to be comedy legends. So Nick, with you, my friend, what did you think of Saturday Night?
So like right off the bat, I loved it. I don't really watch SNL that much. I haven't watched SNL in a very, very long time, to be honest with you. But the movie was great. I felt like all of the performances were just fucking stupendous. My bad, I kind of blanked out for a second, but Nicholas Braun as I think it was Andy Kaufman, and as Jim Henson.
Yes, sir.
The guy that did the Muppets, because it took me a little bit to realize, like, it was like midway through the movie, I was like, is that just the same actor playing both roles? So that was kind of fun. Dylan O'Brien as Dan Aykroyd, like, he killed it because with each of these actors, it didn't really feel like it was like Dylan O'Brien and like Lamorne Morris and who was the other Corey Michael Smith. It didn't feel like I was
Yes.
watching the actors. It really felt like I was like watching the people that they were portraying. Because like Corey Michael Smith as Chevy Chase, like he killed it. And it's like I don't even really know much about these guys. Like I've seen them in movies and TV shows growing up. Like Chevy Chase and Garrett Morris and Dan Aykroyd. Like I've seen them and stuff growing up, but I never pay like too much attention to them. But I was really kind of interested in seeing like, well, how are they gonna like play their parts well? And they each of these actors like really fucking did it. Like my personal favorite was Lamorne Morris
Yeah.
playing Garrett Morris because I had first seen Garrett Morris on the show Martin, starring like Martin Lawrence, and it was a sitcom about him. But Garrett Morris played his boss Stan at the radio station that Martin worked at. So that was like my introduction to him. And then later on, like years later, I found out like, oh wow, not only was he on SNL, but he was one of the first people to be casted in SNL. So that was just really cool. And like just all the stuff that I'd seen growing up, I learned that Garrett Morris was a part of. Like he was in a like episode or two of Justice League, a show that I used to watch when I was a kid, and he was in the 2015 Ant-Man movie,
That's right.
which was pretty funny because I was telling Doug like he technically was the first person to play Ant-Man, and he played him in an SNL sketch, which I thought was kind of funny, very like full circle. But no, overall, like the performances were great. It was a very intense movie because it's how you said earlier, it's the last like hour and a half leading up to the premiere of this show, and the movie it really lets know like the stress that Lauren Michaels was under, and it paints this whole situation, this whole scenario as a situation that just really should not work because everything was going against this guy as he was trying to get this project up, and whether it was just like random occurrences on set or just like the higher ups saying like, hey listen man, like you're not even gonna we low key like don't really fuck with you like that. It's like they didn't really say it in so many words. They kind of said it through their actions, but it just I'm watching the movie and it's like if I didn't know about SNL, like watching this movie, I would assume like this show that this guy is trying to put on is going to fail because everything around him was failing. And then I'm not to get into spoiler territory, but I mean we all know what happened after that. You feel me? But it was no, it was a great movie. Performances were fantastic. Just I really loved it. Like it was something just really endearing and kind of heartwarming to see this guy with everything stacked against him, but he's just like nah, fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway, or at least I'm gonna fucking do my best to do it. I don't know if I'm gonna succeed. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I'm not gonna just sit down and quit. I'm not just gonna take the shit. So I really liked that, and it was very much like the entire film was like a beautiful chaos. Like it was intense to watch because I was even kind of getting like, oh my god, because
I
it's like
know.
the tension would just never stop building. It would like a little bit like Uncut Gems, where
You read
that
my
movie
mind.
just feels kind
Yep.
of like, very like just tense and almost not really like a physically claustrophobic thing, but because of how much stuff is happening at once, it's like, man, I can't really breathe yet because I got to focus on X, Y, and Z. But no, yeah, like I'm watching this movie and in the theater, I'm like, I might just have to pick this one up on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
You feel
That's
me? But I loved it. Pardon me. But yeah, Lamorne Morris was, I think, my favorite part of this movie. I think he was my favorite performance just because I had a little bit more of like a emotional, like nostalgic connection to who he was playing. But and again, like he killed it. Like everybody in this movie killed it. No one
yeah.
was slacking off. No one was phoning it in. It just was to put it into two words, chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss. Dude, well, yeah, you kind of summed up everything I was gonna say too. It's you said it perfectly too the other day we saw the movies that everyone is casted perfectly, and I think you said too that was that when you're watching Lamore and you're watching Dylan, you're watching Ella, you're watching Corey, is that you feel like you're actually watching like a younger version of these actors like Garrett,
Yeah.
Gilda, Dan, and I think you said it perfectly when we saw again obviously J.K. Simmons, Willem Dafoe are great in this as well, but like you said really well is that you see the actor with Willem Dafoe and J.K. Simmons.
And it was only with those two, and it's not even I'm not even like counting it against the movie. It's just that those two actors are just they're just like such big actors. Whenever I see them on screen, I can't help but see them.
Yeah.
But even with that, it's like I feel like that was maybe not necessarily the point, but vice versa with the character with the guy with the main SNL cast, the people that were playing them, it's like they're not supposed to be like well known because the people they were playing at this point in time in their careers weren't really known like that. So it makes sense to get like these like larger than life, just really big actors to play these at the time larger than life big characters. I forget who Willem Dafoe played, but you had J.K. Simmons as Milton Berle, and again like no spoilers, but this dude was like
he would not fly in the generation.
No, this dude was a trip. There was like one scene I was like, okay, you got like no pun intended, you got some fucking balls on you, my guy, for this shit, man. Like, golly. But it was kind of like it wasn't even in a gratuitous way. It was just like this was the nature of the time basically, and the nature of this person that he was playing, I guess. But no, like to your point, like everybody fucking killed it. And even it was funny too because even like watching it, like objectively, okay, well I know who Chevy Chase is, I know who Dan Aykroyd is, I know who Garrett Morris is, but there was a part of me that was like when I was watching it, I was kind of like, I wonder where these guys are gonna go in their career. You know what I mean? But it's
right.
Even though objectively, like I know, but that's a testament to how good the movie was. It sucks you in and you forget like, oh man, I already knew who these guys were.
Yeah, and how they came all of them came comedic and legends, obviously, and it's like whoa, like seeing like. It's kind of like it is their origin story, really. This is like their prequel to their lives in a way.
Exactly.
I also want to shout out Gabrielle LaBelle, who plays Lauren Michaels. Rachel Sennett plays Rosie Schuster, who plays his ex-wife at the time, really, as well as...
I didn't know what was going on with that.
Yeah,
like, not fully, because I didn't realize that he was kind of going through that type of dynamic at the time that he was trying to get SNL up and running. So that was also kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, Rosie Schuster was his actual... was Lauren Michaels' actual wife, and then but she was seeing Dan Aykroyd at the same time too. So it's a whole kind of like tension between Lauren, Rosie, and Aykroyd, because it was just like it was kind of awkward because like she's literally married to the guy doing the show, but also one of the stars of the show too, and it's a little kind of love triangle.
But I was wondering, like, is it like, are they just kind of married like legally, or was it just like you know what I mean? Like, I didn't really get the whole like nature of it. Like, I don't know, did y'all get married because y'all were like in love, or was it just again like a convenience type thing, or just like for like legality purposes or whatever? But either way, it was still a great movie. I'm not gonna, bro. Fucking like 9 out of 10 for me.
Me too. I get 9 out of 10 as well. I really love this movie so much. Jason Reitman to me is a very good director. Again, I personally, it's tough because I recency bias, but I really do. I think Up in the Air is his masterpiece. I think Up in the Air is a flawless film. It is so cool, and I love films about like airplanes and like airports too and traveling, and I just love that movie. Is so well directed, well paced, and well written. But this, to me, him and Gil Keane, and they also wrote the last two Ghostbusters together. I really do. Again, whether it's Juno, Up in the Air, Young Adults, I love Jason Reitman as a filmmaker. But again, I gotta watch this again. But it's right now tied with favorite film of his between that Up in the Air. But the script is so dude, the script is so well written. It's so clever. You know, watching it too, it reminded me of like an Aaron Sorkin script. You know, like how like
Oh, I could see that. I see
you
what you mean.
know, like very kind of like how like dialogue is kind of like a character of its own. And it's very clever, it's very witty, it's very sharp, and the jokes really landed throughout the entire time. Where I go back to like Aaron's work in Moneyball or Social Network, how the script is very just like a very like it's composed in a very certain way. It was like almost like music, and it's very kind of like sharp and witty and clever and back to back to back to back. Where the script is so well paced, where it's like the pacing of the movie goes by just like this. You never like, oh, let's get on with it, whatever. Like, I guess there's only slow time. There's like a few slow times, like the scene at the ice rink with Belushi. Also, too, Matt Wood, who plays Belushi, looks just like him too. Looks just like fucking Belushi. He was like so eerie. I was like, oh my god, like it's like a young Belushi. And also the cadence, and earlier the cadence of their voice. Like, I do think I think Lamorne and Dylan had the best vocal down. I felt like they had the voice of Garrett Morris down to a T. And I thought Dylan O'Brien did a great job with Dan Aykroyd's like. Dan Aykroyd's very kind of like he talks like this and also did this. Like the very kind of like the rhythm of their voices is very just like hard to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like, hey there, fellow, how you doing, or something like that.
Yeah, and it's when you hear Dan Aykroyd, hear Garrett Morris, they have very distinct voices. So I think both what Garrett and Dylan did was very like remarkable as an actor. I was just like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. And I thought that even Ella Hunt, I thought Ella Hunt, who had Gilda Radner's voice down for the most part, there was a few times where she was kind of like overdoing the New York accent, and I do think it's kind of easy accent to do. It's like, I'm walking here, like I'm talking here, some coffee, like I think it's a very easy accent to do. So I think at time again, also she's a Brit too, so I give her props for that as well. But there was a few times where she was kind of overdoing the New York accent, where like you're kind of just playing up just a little bit, but I still thought that she had the resemblance and kind of the spirit of Gilda for sure. But the script, man. Also, the score by John Baptiste, who also plays Billy Preston in the film too. The score was dun 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 dun, very kind of just like, to your point, kind of the Uncut Gems feel of like very just like fast paced and very kind of like chaotic, very anxiety driven. You're just like, it's like, oh my gosh, like slow down, calm down, like let me have this. And again, I think Willem Dafoe, as we all know, plays a great fucking villain. Obviously, he's Willem fucking Dafoe. Misery, misery, misery. Like, come on, like fucking Green Goblin, man.
I will say like one thing that he did very well was like going into the movie, just kind of based on the trailers, I figured he was going to be a bit of an antagonistic role, but the way the movie played it, it was kind of like, okay, maybe he's not. And it was like he had layers, because it was some things where it's like, or he had a few lines where it's like that sounded like a compliment, but the energy was a bit threatening. You know, it was very nuanced, very subtle. But yeah, as the film progresses, like his intentions become a little bit more clear. But it was still kind of like at first, like, okay, it's tough for me to get a read off of you right now.
Yeah, because also there was a cool shot you pointed out. There's a shot of like when Lauren's walking on the door, and Willem Dafoe was talking to him. And who does Willem Dafoe play again? I'm pulling his name up because he was like one of the heads of NBC at the time. That was kind of like very powerful at the company and like for all broadcast. Willem Dafoe plays. Where the fuck is Willem Dafoe? Why is he last billed on IMDb? What the hell? Willem Dafoe plays Dave Tebbutt, and he had like a lot of power at NBC, and all those like executives did too. The great line where Chevy Chase goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, who I'm king, just gentlemen." Because at the time it was all dudes, it was all white dudes in the room. That was kind of funny. But Corey Michael Smith too. You said he was the Riddler on Gotham, correct?
Yeah, and because I forgot that he was going to be in the movie, but he fucking killed it as Chevy Chase, man.
He had that down pack, man. He had that shit locked in, where it was just like the way, like how Chevy is very egotistical, as we all know in real life, and how he was.
Because I didn't know that he was egotistical in real life. Like, not until I think it was like after his time on Community, where I had heard some stuff about him.
Oh yeah.
This movie fucking like. It goes in. It's like he's walking around like he's the shit. And I'm not saying that he wasn't, but it's like he was just exuding like just because I'm also a Harry Potter fan. a little bit of that Draco Malfoy energy.
Yes,
Like he just walks in
totally.
and he thinks that like, oh well, since I walked into this room, I own this room now.
Yeah, and he goes, oh, this is an ensemble piece, and it's like he didn't really care. And then the fight with him and Belushi, it's like he didn't give a fuck
No,
about
yeah, oh,
anyone.
that shit was insane. But no, yeah, it was just he fucking he did a really good job. He did a really good job with that role. And like again, like nothing was stale in this movie.
Oh, also, quick shout out
Talking
to
about the
Matthew
ending.
Rhys, who played George Carlin. He did a great George Carlin.
He
That was
did.
a great George
Oh
Carlin.
man.
That was like I was like, oh my god! I felt like I was watching George Carlin. I was like, to get a time machine and brought him back to like life, whatever. Like, what the hell? But like, man, he had George Carlin just like, to a T. And I was like, oh, Matthew Rhys, man. Again, also another Brit. I was like, wow, like they're really doing a good job having like George Carlin down in that one scene with drugs. I thought that was pretty fucking funny too.
No, that was hilarious because I didn't realize that particular, shall we say, substance, I didn't realize it could like have that kind of effect on you. Because when it was like going on, I was like, what the heck is going on? But
Yeah,
I knew that he was like kind of heavy into that type of stuff at that time. I mean, who
yeah.
wasn't? I guess it was the 70s, but
And
um
I also have a shout out to Eric Steelberg, who's a cinematographer. Like I think they shot on Super 16, and it looks the film grain is very there too,
oh
that the
wow.
entire time. Whereas like you kind of
I
feel
love the film
definitely the
game.
'70s vibes for sure of the movie. Yeah, man, it's a very well paced film, and it was really funny too. I felt like you and I were laughing our asses off throughout the entire time. It wasn't once like, oh my god, get on with these jokes, man. And I do feel like how they how they ended it was perfect. Again, they didn't this has been discussed on other reviews, other podcasts, but like this is not a reenactment of the show. This is just that crazy hour and a half leading up to like the first sketch of the show. And again, it wasn't just like we're gonna redo all the sketches and show you how I was done. Like no, they really just kind of like you jump right into like just hour and a half before and just got this the boom, the boom, the boom, just how it kind of progresses and how it kind of goes, all this like chaoticness of it all. But again, I just do think again, as much as I love Up in the Air, just the script and this Jason Reitman and Gil Keaton's script in this is just so remarkable and it is so well paced. It was so well written. It was sharp. It was clever. It was again, as we're all you and I are both writers ourselves. It's just like just when we see good screenplay and good dialogue, you just know. Like you just know.
Yeah.
And I think the past couple of years, obviously with Tarantino, but I think of Jordan Peele, I think of Ryan Coogler have like really good dialogue and screenplay where it's like sometimes when you hear good dialogue and you see a good screenplay, you just know. And it's a huge character of these films. And I thought the screenplay in this was just, again, to your point earlier, chef's kiss. Chef's
Yeah.
kiss. And I do, again, I will say I have a gripe to pick with Sony. No offense, Sony. I love you, Sony. Spider-Man's my home. But I don't really understand the release of this movie because it was supposed to be a wide release on last Friday, October 11th, but they released the movie a couple weeks early in New York and LA. And I get it. They do that sometimes to kind of test the waters. But I think that kind of hurt them because out here where we are in AZ, not a lot of the theaters that we go to usually had this movie. It was only like a select certain theaters had that. I don't know what the strategy was of that. And I remember they did that a couple years ago with my beloved Everybody Wants Them by Linklater. Like they did the whole kind of like, oh, you watch it in New York and LA 2 weeks before it came out in like popular cities. But then when it came to like these markets, it was hard to find. So I don't really know what the game plan was for this movie. It's a crowd pleaser. It's getting really amazing reviews. Had a lot of great stars that people know and recognize, and people love SNL. So I don't really know what the protocol of that was. I will say though, I'm glad it was a theatrical movie because if it was Netflix or Prime, I think it probably could have hurt the movie in terms of kind of like it's just marketing and brand.
Yeah,
But
it wouldn't have done it justice at all.
thank you. And I'm really glad we saw it in theaters, obviously. Again, our crowd was it was a decent crowd for the most part for a Tuesday discount day at Majestic. But I don't know why this is a thing where for indie films, I kind of get it. You kind of test the waters, obviously. But even with, did you ever see Steve Jobs a couple years ago with Fassbender?
No, I haven't.
Great film. Great film. Aaron Sorkin wrote it. Danny Boyle directed it. Great cast, whatever. But again, living in Chicago at the time, I saw it because it was a major city. But that movie did not perform well because they did this kind of like testing the waters thing of like we're gonna put it in small markets and then hopefully do big. But they kind of like reacted to like the small markets wasn't well received. But it's like it was well received movie. Everyone loved it, but it just this testing in these like small markets doesn't seem to work. If you ask me, I feel like I don't know. It's hard to say like what was the better option for this movie, but to me, I was just like, wait, because I live by Regal, as we all know, and like theaters like in our area is like only select theaters got it, and I just said, but this is a studio. This is a Sony Pictures film. Like this is a studio movie with a big direct, well, not big, but a lovable director from other films. Who again, son of Ivan Reitman, who gave us like Animal House and Ghostbusters and Twins, all these movies, whatever. So to me, I was just like, I wonder what the game plan was for this movie, because it feels kind of like it was a last minute call, like an audible of like, hey, we're gonna do a small release in these cities, and then boom, a few weeks later. But I don't know, it's weird to me, and I don't know what the logic was behind that. Even like a movie like Wolves with Brad Pitt and George Clooney, where like that was supposed to be a theatrical release, but Apple didn't like how even though we loved Argyle, everyone else hated that movie.
Like, I don't know what that was all about, bro.
Still don't get that, but like Argyle did not do well. Killers of the Flower Moon did not do well. Napoleon flopped. That one looked pretty bad with Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson, that Fly Me to the Moon, whatever. Like no one saw those movies. Again, and y'all heard me and Nick, and we loved Argyle. I know Kaylin loved it too. It was like, well, what happened? Like, what happened, guys? Like,
are we watching just different cuts of the movie or something?
It kind of seems like it.
What the heck?
It kind of seems like it. So, and for these, for Sony, that's very pro-theatrical, as they said multiple times the past couple of years. I just didn't understand what the release strategy of this movie was. Again, it's a studio film. It's about one of the biggest shows of all time with SNL. A-list cast, great director, but you didn't release it in all these theaters. It was a small release. I don't know, man. It's weird to me, like it's odd. It's odd. It's strange, and I don't know. I don't know how this movie's doing really right now, box office wise, or let's look actually. Humor me for a second, Nick. Humor me for a second. Gotcha. Let's look right now. So Saturday night. Okay, the budget for this movie was the budget was estimated to be between 25 to 30 mil, which is not that big compared to nowadays movies with like 100 mil and 80, Joker 2, 200 mil, which is crazy. But I don't get the box office. So the box office is, again, 80% critic review. What's the audience on this? Let me check. So, come on, Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, 80% critic, 84% audience, which is really good for a movie nowadays. But so, yeah, but now, and also now, like, I'm looking for showtimes this weekend, dude. Like, there's like now less and less showtimes now than there was last week. I just don't get it.
I don't get it either. Like, what the hell is going on these days?
Saturday Night has finally laughed its way past a small box office milestone. See what I'm saying? Like, let me see. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, Box Office Pro does this a lot, or Mojo, whatever. Box Office Mojo, whatever. Pro. All right. So let's see. Weekend. Okay. So it came out limited. Okay. So my point exactly. It debuted 20th spot 2 weeks ago when it had 5 theaters, only in LA and New York, and it made about $270,000. Not great. Okay, and then the week later, let's check, that was the week of September 27th. So this is a week before Joker 2 came out. All right, so now they added 16 theaters, and it made $5 more than last week. Okay, sure. God damn. Okay, so now that was in Joker 2 obviously had a historic flop. I mean, and even though you not like that movie a lot, and you also your fiance liked it and your boss liked it, but no one else liked it.
We're the only people that actually understood the film.
Yeah. Okay,
Feel
here.
Feel free to let us know in the comments what y'all thought.
Right here. So then it jumped from 19th to 7th spot, but look, it only was given 2,000 more theaters. And nowadays, a wide release of a movie is 3,000 to 4,000. So I don't get the strategy. I don't. Again, a movie like a Universal, a Sony, a Paramount, a Warner Bros., Disney, whatever, usually has between 3,500 to 4,000 theaters opening weekend for a big studio film like this, and it's weird. So yeah, so it only had 2,300 theaters, which is very, 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 very small for a studio film. I'm trying to think the last. Okay, the last. All right, humor me. Here you go. So, Speak No Evil opening weekend had 3,300 theaters. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice had 4,500 theaters opening weekend.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Let me see. What was the last Sony movie that came out? All right, yep. Perfect. Awesome. It Ends With Us. Blake Lively film. Ready? Same studio, Nick. Ready? 3,600 theaters.
3,600. And
SNL got 2,300.
I could see it as like just to use It Ends With Us and Saturday Night as like the two main examples. Like It Ends With Us. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like it just seems like a more it seems like a more commercial, more bankable type movie because you got Blake Lively, who's a pretty well-known actress, and she's married with Deadpool, and so it's just like it's a little bit more like star power with Saturday Night. You have actors like let me pull up the IMDb. Like yes, it has like Willem Dafoe and J.K. Simmons, but the majority of actors, the majority of the cast, like maybe it's like they're not as well known.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it did seem
Fair.
a little bit more like an indie movie. So maybe because of that, maybe because it seemed like it was more like indie kind of lower budget. Like maybe they didn't think that, okay, well, we might not be able to really like bank on this movie. So let's just instead of spending all of this money on it, trying to get it into like more theaters and like marketing and everything like that, like let's release it in a few theaters, but just not as much. Like obviously we're gonna get like some sort of profit from it, but I wonder if that's what it was. Like they just kind of thought it was like too small a movie for it to be like as big necessarily, or to like compete like that.
Yeah.
That's my theory off the top of my head. Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know. It's odd. It's odd because
I'm
look.
not sure what the strategy was. I'm not sure what the thought process was with that.
Can I also so also Fly Me to the Moon, same studio. Even it was Sony did the distribution in theaters and Apple was the production behind it. Dude, Fly Me to the Moon had 1,000 more theaters than Saturday Night, 3,300.
Oh well, I mean, because that's got Channing Tatum and Scarlett Johansson headlining it.
Interesting.
So I wonder if it's like a star power thing.
What was the budget? I want to see what the budget was on Fly Me to the Moon. Probably a lot. Because knowing Apple. Fly Me to the Moon budget.
Who directed that movie again?
Your boy, CW guy, Berlanti.
Greg Berlanti. Wow.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, dude, $100 million was for the budget of Fly Me to the Moon.
100 mil.
That does not sound right, and this is why Wolves got canceled because of shit like that. Again, haven't seen the movie. Haven't seen the movie. Forgive me. Haven't seen the movie. I'll watch it. Probably next year.
I'm teasing. That was just a little joke.
No. Obviously, Bad Boys also Sony, but yeah, they had fucking Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, two of the best comedic actors of our time. So that had 4,000 theaters. So surprise, surprise. But I don't know, man. It's weird to me that. It's so weird to me that this movie had a weird release. I don't get this. I don't get this weird. And then before that, okay, then they had an indie film called Terra, whatever it's called. I heard that was awful. And that movie had way more
I saw
theaters.
like the billboard or whatever for that, but I never. I think I maybe saw a trailer, but for the life of me, I cannot remember it.
Oh, dude, it looked terrible. I think it was like a 5% Rotten Tomatoes.
Damn, that's rough.
So,
Who was in Terror again?
Um, who was? That's a
And
great
what was
one.
it about? I think I need
Oh,
to remember to
your
reach out.
boy, movie star Jacob Batalon from Spider Man.
Jacob Battle. No, not fucking Ned.
Yeah.
Man, I'm done with this conversation. Fucking tarot. Because what was
the
that movie even
the
about?
tarot cards, kind of like Ouija. Remember, like Ouija came out a couple years ago. Like the tarot cards, like kind of tell you like you're like
Bro.
spiritual shit. Yeah.
I saw those movies fucking years after everybody else, and it was just like not that they were like bad necessarily, but it was just kind of like okay, cool, I guess. For
It
the
looked
life,
bad. This movie looked like dog shit. And yeah, 18% Rotten Tomatoes. Good for them. That looked terrible. But again, that was a Screen Gems, which is part of Sony. They had 3,100 theaters. I just don't get this release. Okay, what was the last? Okay, I'm going back. I'm going back to the last Sony film. Well, Ghostbusters. Obviously, fucking Ghostbusters. That makes sense. That's like a iconic. Yeah, Ghostbusters had 4,300. Surprise, surprise. That's because it's Ghostbusters. Okay, I'm going back to the last. Sorry, bear with me. Last Sony film. No, okay, that was a re-release. Someone. Okay, Madam Web, 4,000 theaters.
a classic.
Classic, yeah, top tier. And then obviously Argyle. That was Universal. The last Columbia picture. Sony. Well, even with Anyone But You, I guess. But I guess that's the Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney effect, and that had 3,000 theaters. But, huh? I don't get this release, man. What do you think of that?
I mean, it seems kind of off to me. Obviously, I'm not in the industry yet, but it is kind of like sometimes I don't really understand why they'll promote certain movies over others. I think sometimes it kind of like how I said earlier, it might be like a star power thing. It might just be, and I hope that this wasn't the case with Saturday Night, but I know like some movies the studio just doesn't really believe in it, so they'll put less effort in like marketing it correctly or even with like release. And sometimes it might even just be a situation where like we're not even going to put this in theaters, we're going to put it on streaming, or
Hmm.
vice versa, because I've heard of some movies like they were originally supposed to be streaming but then they ended up being released in I think wasn't that with the deal with Alien Romulus. It was originally going to be
It was Hulu.
released on Hulu, and it was going to be kind of like a Predator thing where that was released in Hulu. But I think, and I might be mistaken, but like the success of Predator, I don't know if that led to like when they were looking at Alien
Oh, for
Romulus, it was
Prey.
like, you know what, that movie was really good. This movie seems really good. Let's put this movie in theaters instead. But it, I don't know, because also it feels like it's kind of like it's like a retrospect thing. Like it's tough to determine like okay, like which movies are really gonna succeed and which movies are really gonna fail. But
Yeah, it's
it's fucking weird to me because I remember just some anecdotal stuff. I remember with the animated Disney movie Treasure Planet, like the directors of that,
yep.
they were like really pushing for that movie, and Disney was like, "Well, make this movie, and this movie for us first, and then we'll let you do Treasure Planet." And then they did what they were supposed to do, and then they made Treasure Planet. But in the marketing, they have the narrator just fucking spoiling all this shit, and it was just a sign that they didn't believe in the movie. And then the movie ended up um not succeeding. And I remember they were saying like, they were getting ready to start. Matter of fact, Willem Dafoe was going to be in part two, and
Oh
I think he was
God,
like on his way.
that would have been
He was like in the
awesome.
car, like getting ready to fucking like record his lines, and then he got the phone call like, "Yeah, we're not doing part two anymore."
What?
Just like that. And it's like, why?
Uh,
Because like everybody who I talk to now, not like I'm just like bringing up Treasure Planet all the fucking time these days,
it's a
but
fucking amazing movie.
whenever what's up?
You should. You know why? Because it's a fucking amazing movie. So please do
No,
bring up whatever you want.
it's fucking fantastic. But I will say, like, whenever I'm having a conversation and somehow, some way, Treasure Planet might come up, it always kind of goes to the whole, or rather, whenever it comes up, it's always looked at as like this was a really great movie, and it's like a hidden gem. It's a really great movie that the studio itself just did not believe in,
Yeah.
which is a shame. So I hope that's not the case with Saturday Night. because again, like this movie for sure is a fucking gem. It was it was fun. It was just really
Yeah,
like not heartwarming, but it was really like inspiring to watch because again, just
it
how
was.
the movie was unfolding, like this movie, or not the movie, but the events like in the movie, and how I said earlier, like everything was just working against it, was working against this guy, but it pulled through anyway.
Yeah,
And because I'm like, I don't know, like
it's
maybe
weird.
I don't know. I will say this. I'll throw this out there because I remember when we were leaving the theater, you and I were talking about SNL and just how like there was a certain kind of drop off, at least with us. There
Yeah,
was a
for
certain point
sure.
where we both just kind of like stopped watching it, and I don't know if like maybe a little bit of that kind of played into it. Like maybe when the studio was making the film, there was that notion like, yeah, people are familiar with SNL and people still tune into SNL, but it's not really what it was back then. So
Right.
maybe like by us making a movie about it, maybe it won't necessarily be like the biggest hit. So let's treat it like it's not necessarily going to be the biggest hit. Let's treat it as like this is just like an indie movie. People that like it are going to see it, but let's save our resources with it and let's just kind of like sprinkle it out every like now and then. You know what I mean? Like let's just
Yeah.
put it in a few theaters, just to kind of like get some money back.
Test the waters. Yeah. No,
Test
no,
the
you're right.
waters, yeah. Because
That's a
it
good.
wasn't really like a no disrespect to anybody in the movie, but it wasn't really like star studded. You know
I
what I
know.
mean? Like you had
Yeah.
like a few notable actors, like Willem Dafoe and J.K. Simmons, but even like they weren't even really in the movie like that.
No,
And
you're right.
you're following, people that are kind of coming up in their career, playing people that are kind of coming up in their career, or
Hmm.
at least who are just early on in their career.
Very meta.
Very, very meta, exactly. Yeah.
Very meta. No, you're right. Good point. Honestly,
It's
Nick,
like a little like niche movie kind of. It might be one of those cult classics.
for sure, spot on, my boy. I think it definitely will be a cult classic, and then I think it's probably get some like maybe some like award season buzz. I mean, it's a little too early to tell, but um, you're right. No, I think yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that like again, we'll see how this does, long term, but I was checking this box off. I was checking, just for curiosity for Showtime this weekend. There's not a lot, even more than there was the week before. So,
Hmm.
I wonder what interesting. But yeah. Also, I want to shout out also before I forget, Cooper Hoffman, as I told you at the movie. That's the late great
Yeah, I
Philip
didn't
Seymour
realize that was
Hoffman's
Philip
kid.
Seymour Hoffman's son.
Kid's a good actor, man. Kid's a
No,
really
he
good
fucking
actor.
killed it. Because even like his role in the movie, like he was walking a fucking tightrope. Like his
Yeah,
whole thing was like, bro, I'm doing my best to get this thing up and running, even though like I don't necessarily believe in it. The people that I'm trying to like pitch it to or promote it to, they don't really fuck with it. You know what I mean? Like it was just
yeah,
like he played that role very, very well. And just, he has a very kind of like impactful scene, or like a very like powerful scene where it's just like he's just laying it all out there, man. And I was kind of like, I mean, damn, when you put it like that, like, you know what I mean? I was like, when you put it
yeah.
like that, it's like, yeah, I see what you're saying, but um, no, like he fucking killed it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm so it was really cool to see him again. His dad was a good actor, so again has a dad's acting chops for sure.
He does. He really does.
um, no, he was really good, and that's why I want to shout him out before I forget. But yeah, go see this movie, guys. Yeah, like Nick said too, we're getting this really a strong 9 out of 10. I think we both love this movie so much. And to Nick's point as well, it's very inspirational, very motivational too. Is like people want to, because for us especially, these people were our age when this was being made. So like
Yeah.
it kind of hit home for you and I of like, oh, we're their age too, kind of like trying to make a name for ourselves right now with our industry. So it's like it was very kind of hit home at the right kind of like the right spot. So yeah, guys, support this movie, please. Go see if you can, see before it leaves. I don't want to see this movie on VOD next week. Like how Joker 2 is going to be on VOD next week. But it's like, oh man.
Shame.
But you know what it is, Nick? I think what happened is now it's that when these films don't do well, they go VOD. And it's kind of like this
Yo.
reactionary thing now. If the movie does well, we'll keep it out playing longer if we can. If it does poorly, like again, our beloved Fall Guy, same thing. Fall Guy was a movie that we loved, and then 2 weeks later, VOD, and it was just like, oh, okay. So it's kind of like a new thing. If you do poorly, you'll be on VOD in 2 weeks. If you do pretty well, you have more seats to kind of like to fill the next coming few weeks, if not months, in the theaters. So, yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but yeah, I'm gonna read more into this. Hopefully, I find out some more information about this. Like, I don't know, but also you and I were both saying that I think you and I kind of want to see like a quote unquote like not sequel, but like 80s with Eddie Murphy and like Mike Myers, right? Like,
No, you brought that up yesterday. You're saying like it would be cool if they did a sequel where how you just said it is the 80s, and then they do one for like the 90s, and then maybe one for the early 2000s. I feel like they should just cap it there. No disrespect. Like
I
after
agree.
like the 2016 era, I was like, I'm not really feeling
Yeah.
that's where I fell off of SNL, to be honest with you. But
Yeah,
no,
you
if
and I
they
both.
just kind of focus on like each significant era, man, that would be a really interesting trilogy too.
It would. Yeah, it would. I think it would be really cool if Reitman wants to come back and do it. I kind of trust him and him doing it. I think it would be kind of cool to see who they cast as like Eddie Murphy and Mike Myers and Chris Rock and Sandler and Chris Farley and maybe even Will Ferrell or Rachel Dratch or Molly Shannon or Chris Parnell. Like, but remember, also in the '80s, you know who was on SNL? Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, that's right. That would be kind of cool. That would
like
be
the
dope.
worst, like the
Dang.
worst season apparently ever, which is like
Really?
what the yeah is known for his season of SNL was like the worst season
Was
of
it
like.
specifically because of him, or was it just he just kind of happened to be there at that time?
I think he was part of it. I think he was part of it. But
Dang.
I heard it's just like he just wasn't really like. Oh yeah, again, I want to see who they cast as Bill Murray. Like who they cast as Bill Murray. Who they cast as like, Damon Wayans remember was on for a season too. Damon Wayans was on for a
You're
season.
bullshitting. Damon
Yeah,
Wayans was on SNL for a whole season.
for one season. Yeah.
What the fuck? What season was this? Because
Let
he
me
was.
see.
I remember he was doing In Living Color for a few seasons.
He was on SNL. Yeah. He was on. What was he on? I forgot what year he was
Damon
on.
Wayans. That's insane.
Yeah, he got fired.
Damn. Oh, I wonder what happened.
He's also a writer on the show too. He was on season 11. So
Season 11. So okay. So that would have been what, like roughly 86?
yeah, 86.
Okay, yeah. Because In Living Color was in the 90s.
Yeah, but still though, you don't think of Damon Wayans to be honest.
No, not at all.
He was a writer on the show too, and I don't know. Oh, also I thought the guy who played Billy Crystal was pretty good too.
He was
That was
good. He was like Nicholas something. I remember all the Nicholases.
yeah, it was a small role, but he was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool to who they cast in that again, especially Eddie Murphy, especially who would you cast as Eddie Murphy? Like,
Because
holy
I'll
shit!
admit, with Lamorne Morris, there was a scene where he was singing and like he kind of sounded like Eddie Murphy a little bit a couple of
Oh
times.
yeah,
Not saying
the
necessarily
Whitey
that
song.
he should play him. Yeah, the one at the end. But because I remember, I was like the what's that show? The New Girl. There was like an episode we were watching. I think up in like
Oh
Prescott.
yeah,
Where I think he was like doing an Eddie Murphy impression. And he was just killing it. I need to stop saying killing it. I feel like I'm putting bad energy out there into the universe.
he did a good job. Yeah, he nailed it. Like he definitely nailed it.
No, he did. Yeah,
Um,
spot on. But
um,
but another thing, it would be cool if they just got if the for these hypothetical sequels, they could just continue to get quote unquote no names,
yes,
and I
I'm
feel like
with you on
that would add to it.
Yes, Nick, bro, you read my mind. Yes, keep casting unknowns. Like, I'm sorry, if we saw Timothy Chalamet as Chevy Chase, I'd have been like, no, hell no.
Get Timothy Chalamet to play Robert Downey Jr. for
That one
like the
season.
1980s, 1990s one.
You know what? I can't stand the guy, but I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that. But like, I don't
can't
know.
believe you don't like Timothy Chalamet. I'm not like a huge fan necessarily. I don't dislike him by any means, but like, man, I love those Dune movies, and I think a big part of it is because of his portrayal of Paul Atreides.
Oh, I love those Doom movies too, but it's for our boy Denis. Denis can do no wrong, if you ask me.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
Yeah, he's again, as we all know, like I won't go into a year ago with our making fun of him, but but funny episode by the way. But you go back and listen to that episode. I forgot the name
Yeah,
of that
link it
episode.
below. Link it below.
That was a funny episode. But no, what was I saying? That I really, I still don't. It's not to me. He hasn't like he's improved me anything yet. I mean, he looks kind of good in that Bob Dylan movie, but I don't know, man. I haven't been sold on him yet. I thought he's just to me just like he's very this moody kind of guy. I'm just like, okay.
I got you.
I know he hasn't really sold me. Yeah, he might down the road, given time, but right now I can't stand the guy for some reason. I think the same guy in all these movies, but I can't. I can definitely see that casting as Downey Jr. But with your point exactly, I would love to see them cast like unknowns. Like, dude, cast an unknown for Eddie Murphy. Cast an unknown for Mike Myers. Cast an unknown for all these people because I feel like, to your point, it makes it more like relatable and like we're not seeing the actor, we're seeing these people play a great. Again, I'm casting a Bill Murray. Like that's like casting a Bill Murray and Eddie Murphy. Whew.
That would be quite the fucking feat. That would be quite the accomplishment, honestly.
That would be crazy. So I don't know. It would be really cool to see who could they cast of that. But yeah, Eddie Murphy, Bill Murray, Mike Myers, like that would be definitely like interesting to see who they cast. But it's possible. It's definitely possible. But yeah, it'd be cool to see kind of like continue these kind of like not anthology, but like it's a new every SNL 80s, SNL 90, whatever, and then to your point, cap it out at the late 2000s with like a Will Ferrell, Molly Shannon, like Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan would be so funny. I'm gonna get you pregnant. I fucking love Tracy Morgan in SNL too. Do you ever see that Tracy Morgan thing? He kind of playing this kind of like who was the Crocodile Dundee guy or Irwin?
Steve Irwin?
Steve Irwin, yeah. Sorry, Steve Irwin, yeah. That guy, Tracy Morgan plays like a kind of like Steve Irwin kind of type of guy, like Brian Fellows. You ever see that before?
Oh, that was one of his SNL sketches.
Yeah, he goes, "I'm Brian Fellows." He goes, "What's up, chicken? What's up, bird?"
No, I didn't see that.
My mom loved that skit when that aired. That was when I was a kid. We watched when I was a kid, and it was so funny because it was like that bird looking kind of weird, and then the animal wrangler was like, "Yeah, it's an eagle." He goes, "I'm Brian Fellows."
Oh my god. Nah, Tracy Morgan is hilarious.
I fucking love Tracy Morgan. So I'm trying to find it for you. It's a really funny skit because like the the animal wranglers are like, "Wait, what? Like, what are you saying here?"
They're like, "What is this guy on?"
Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, Brian Fellows Safari Planet. It's really funny. I think you would like it a lot. Brian Fellows.
Brian Fellows Safari Planet.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay, Brian Fellows. Okay.
It was really funny. It's
Gotcha.
Tracy Morgan's being Tracy Morgan. That's funny, but yeah, definitely see how that goes. But all right, in lieu of SNL, this biopic, obviously, we had talked about biopics before, but I'll ask you this, Nick. Like, if you could direct or make a biopic about anyone or anything, what would you do?
Anyone or anything. Let me think. That's a tough one. That's a really good question. So I'm of two minds here. Like initially, my mind went to Chadwick Boseman.
Ooh, that's good.
I think he's an amazing, or I guess he was an amazing actor. And then hearing about he had colon cancer, he got sick, and he had like passed. Hearing about just that he had kind of kept that hidden for such a long time, while at the same time doing all these amazing films. I'm in my head, I'm just like, what is this guy's story? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be if I could do that in a way that was like truthful, honest, but still respectful of just his own like privacy and like his family's privacy, but still like shining a light on who he was. I would love to do that. Another idea I have, well, I guess it was kind of taken because they're doing it now, but Christopher Reeve.
Oh yeah,
he was Superman in my mind like he still is Superman, but I've rewatched Superman the movie a couple of times within the past like year or so, and it's just every time I watch it, I fell in love with it when I was a little kid because it was like I always knew about Superman, obviously, but I remember I was at Costco with my mom as a little boy, and my I had come across they had his movie on DVD, and while I knew a little bit about Superman, I didn't really know like the specifics of it. So I was like, oh wow, like this movie goes into like his origin and how he came to be and like blah 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 blah. And like I watched it as a little kid, it was just like this is a really cool movie and it's fun and it's Superman and da 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 da. But watching it after college, I feel like I appreciate it more for the filmmaking aspects of it.
Oh,
Like
for sure.
just the cinematography, like the score, and just kind of like how he portrays Superman or Kal-El. And even watching like interviews where he was saying like someone had asked him like what's the most important part of playing Superman, and Reeves' response was, and I'm paraphrasing, that Superman is a friend. And it's like what, like it just seemed so profound because he's basically playing Superman as just a guy that wants to help out as much as he can, and he just wants to be there for everybody and just do his little part in making the world a better place. Except he's not just doing like a little part to make the world a better place because he's Superman. So like his idea of like I'm just kind of helping out is really like every time you just quote unquote help out, the world is saved and crises are averted. And just Christopher Reeve as a person, he just seemed like one of those like genuinely good souls and just like good people. And yeah, I would like to just like delve into that a little bit more. Delve into who he was as a person, kind of like how he came to be. Obviously his career and just what elements, well, honestly for both of these men, what shaped them into becoming the pillars that they are.
Yeah.
I would love to do that as far as biopics.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my answer. Chadwick Boseman and Christopher Reeve.
Man, I'd watch both of those if you made those in a heartbeat in IMAX.
Oh heck yeah, because it would be released in 70 millimeter.
Oh, you fucking better. Oh, I
You already
swear.
know. You already know.
What does he say in Deadpool and Wolverine? He goes, "Put your greasy tits away, you preening slut."
Yeah.
Oh, dude, you're making my toes curl, Nick. Sitting Miller IMAX, man.
That's the job. That's what I do. That's what I do over here. Heck
I
yeah.
would love to watch those movies, man. Yeah, only if you did those movies. Dang, that's good. That's really good, Nick. Fuck.
Thank you.
Kind of hard to follow now. Shit. I'm gonna copy you. I'm gonna do two as well. Again, as a Chicagoan, growing up, Michael Jordan was one of my heroes as a kid. Also because of Space Jam as well.
I mean, that Space Jam is just an iconic film.
It's a masterpiece. It's really
Cinema.
a masterpiece. It's cinema, dude. It is cinema. It's
Cinema.
Cinema. I love that they had my apartment. You pulled out the Space Jam. You were like, hell yeah, vinyl. I was like,
Yeah,
I told you I had it.
Come over this weekend. We gonna watch it. We gonna have all the boys over. We gonna watch Space Jam. When the
Oh, it's
movie's
so good,
over,
dude.
I'm gonna need y'all to leave. I get sleepy after movies. I'm a little bit older these days, and I need a little midday nap to recharge.
We'll tuck you into bed. We got you.
Appreciate you. Just leave the warm milk on the dresser, leave the nightlight on, and make sure you have Kenny G playing softly on the radio next to me. Just put it
I
on,
got you.
put the volume on level 8 so I can hear it, but it's not too loud, so it doesn't mess with my sleep schedule.
So specific too.
I need my 9.5 hours, man. Like I need it. Otherwise, I just can't function.
No, I got you. I would do because I feel like we'd get Air, and I fucking love Air. My favorite movies of last year. I thought everyone was casted perfect. I thought Val Davis was amazing. Matt Damon was so good last year. One of Ben Affleck's best films as a director too. I love Chris Tucker, dude. Chris Tucker was so good in that, man.
Marlon
Wayans was good in his role.
Hey, speaking
dude.
of the Wayans.
Oh, you would do a biopic about them?
No, just because we were talking about Damon Wayans and Marlon Wayans was in Air.
Yeah.
So it's just funny that like both
That's
brothers
right.
came up.
All in one episode, man. You're welcome, Wayans family.
Yeah, put us on respectfully, of course.
Put us on Scary Movie 6 if you ever do it.
Oh man, don't even get me started on that.
I know, dude. I know. I would love to see a Michael Jordan biopic from not life to like where he is now, but like from like probably from like early on, but like him at UNC, but also during his Bulls era, man. Because again, he is the best. Sorry, Kalen. Sorry to all the LeBron fans. Michael Jordan is the best living basketball player and probably one of the best athletes to ever exist in this universe, and he will ever forever be that. I would love to see kind of like just him like in a traditional like Michael Jordan biopic, just his UNC and him going to the Bulls and his kind of just like dominance in NBA, all his championships, and then I would cap it off like him like retiring from the NBA, like just like that. Because again, like seeing that run, also too, you can watch The Last Dance, which is a perfect, documentary. It's so fucking good. But like I love that. But like I would love to see kind of like a movie about that. And also again, as someone who grew up, just idolizing Michael Jordan and just loving the Bulls and stuff like that, I would love to see a biopic about him, but also his time with the Bulls and kind of just like how he just like how that team was just like back to back just champs. How they changed NBA and they changed sports. Like Michael Jordan was kind of like God at one point for so many people. Like he was larger than life, literally. I mean, he and like Mike for a reason.
Oh dang, yeah, he was that guy.
He was that guy. So I would love to see a biopic about him and his time with the Bulls, and then kind of him retiring with the Wizards, obviously, and then retiring from the NBA. So, dude, love to see that. So definitely Michael Jordan and the Bulls for sure. But one that I think I had more of a grasp on too is growing up also a huge baseball and Cubs fan. The Cubs were cursed for 108 years from the World Series, and they finally won during our freshman year of college when I moved out here. Of course, the year I moved from Chicago to Arizona is when my favorite team of all time wins the fucking World Series.
Damn,
so
it's like a cosmic joke.
It really was, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?" But as we all know, like I really am a huge Cubs fan. I mean, our dogs, Addison, it was named after Addison and Grace, the streets of Wrigley Field. Bricks and Ivies because of the bricks and ivy at Wrigley Field. Like my grandpa was a big Cubs fan. I grew up as a Cubs fan, like diehard Cubs fan, and I still am. I'm wearing a Mets jersey right now because they're playing the playoffs. That year, I remember this really well. That our freshman year when they were winning, to me, I was just like, dude, I would like not do homework. I would be like just watching it. I didn't give a fuck about like the election that year because it was the same time as the Cubs. I'm like, yo, this is my team, bro. This is my fucking team. Like, you have no idea like what's in store for me. And just like how like it went to all 7 games. Like they were down at one point, they came back. It's just like it's literally like a picture perfect like just like story. And it's very like the championship World Series itself of that Cubs was very movie-like, very Hollywood-fied already, and it was hard. You're watching this, you're like, how is this actually real? But like from they were down, they were gonna lose, they came back. I remember I was on a date with a girl during that time, and I felt so bad. But like we're at a restaurant, and I'm sorry to this one girl. I was literally watching the game the entire time. Like I was so focused, dude, because I was just like, yo, like you have no idea. Like this is my life. This is my team. Like you have no idea. I remember going to a movie that same night too, and I was like on my phone. I'm like, no, it's not screening actually. And I was like,
checking your score during the movie.
Dude, I would legit leave the movie a few times to look at the score. Cause I was like, yo, you have no idea like what's in store for me right now. So I was just like, this is like holy shit. I think it was the night Trump or Hillary came to ASU. I said, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And went, because it was game 7, it was last game 7. I went to my parents' house to be with my family and be with puppy Addison at the time to watch it with my parents. And bro, we were screaming, we were hollering, dude. It was like, and when they won, it was just like, I couldn't believe it, dude. As a diehard Cubs fan, like my team actually won. And I was just like, holy fucking shit. So I would love to do a biopic of the playoffs and World Series for the Cubs. Like, I think Chris Bryant, who was the third base at the time, wanted Zac Efron to play him. And I'm trying to think, like, hold up, I'm pulling up on Google who they had, like, 2016 World Series. It was just like, dude, because they were down, they were losing, like they were down 3-0 of the series. They'd be eliminated from it, and they came back and won in Game 7 with like rain delays and stuff like that. It was just like, it was crazy, dude. Who would they get to play them in a movie? Let's see, in a movie. It was just so weird, man. It was just like, also 2016 was a good fucking year too. Cause I met you, obviously. I met Moses. Went to ASU. I moved to Arizona. Who would, hold on, what did, I'm trying to think who would, how crazy it was. And I think Chris Bryant said, all right, Jason Hayward say Michael B. Jordan. I could see that.
Okay. Not mad at that.
Chris Bryant said Liam Hemsworth or Zac Efron. I saw Zac Efron more. Let me see. Someone said Chris Pratt. No, Chris Pratt was already Moneyball. Yeah, Zac Efron as. Someone said Patrick Stewart. No way.
Patrick Stewart.
as one of the because there was a guy called David Ross, and it was his last season playing baseball ever, and he won his World Series. Like,
wow.
Yeah, Chris Bryant, Zac Efron. I'm trying to think. Oh, Miles Teller as Anthony Rizzo would have been cool. Ryan Reynolds, Jake Gyllenhaal as Jake Arrieta. Yeah, I can see all these people. Bruce Willis is too old for Grandpa Ross. Yeah, Jay Hernandez as Javi Baez. Yeah, dude. This would be Chris Evans as Ben Zorb. Yeah, dude. It was just like someone said Kid Cudi. I could see that too. Yeah, John Boyega played Chapman. Like, dude, yeah. Oh, dude, it would be so good. And they also had what's my man's name from Get Out? He's also in Billy Madison. What was his name?
Get Out and Billy Madison. Like,
I'm blanking on his name. I'm looking it up right now. Oh, Bradley Whitford. Bradley Whitford. He played the dad in Get Out.
Oh, okay. Because I was like, he's the only person who like could have been a Get Out, or who could have been a Billy Madison from Get Out. But I was like, was it him?
He's also in Cabin in the Woods.
Yep, he looked extremely different in Cabin in the Woods and Get Out. Like, I didn't recognize him in Get Out.
Dude, if you look at a picture of him in Get Out versus the manager of the Cubs at the time, he looks just like the manager, Joe Madden. Like,
okay.
Dude, like everyone, like when Get Out came out, like, oh, it was good seeing Joe Madden in Get Out, because he looked just like the manager of the Cubs. Like, it was like eerie. Yeah, I'll show you a picture. I'll show you dude. He looked just like him, dude. And it was like, yo. And for our listeners, look up Joe Madden and Bradley Whitford side by side. Like, definitely. Like, I'm sending you a picture of it right now to your phone. He looks just like him.
Got you. Let me. Here we go. Oh shit!
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
Hey, yeah.
See what I'm saying? Like, it's just perfect casting. So I would
do it.
I would honestly. I'm thinking about probably writing it now, because I feel like I know, because I remember that time so well. It was like how like all went down, and so I would do it from like the last. I'll probably do the playoffs up until the World Series, and then winning the World Series. Like, I would do that. It's kind of just like the ups and downs of it all. You do it a series, but I think doing a movie kind of like make it more fast paced. So yeah, I would do more
concise.
Yeah, thank you, concise. That's what we're looking for. So I would definitely just love to skin. That's my team, man. Like, when that happened, I was so fucking happy. I was just like, oh my gosh. So like, I would do, again, Michael Jordan, the Bulls for sure, but I would also do the Cubs win the World Series for the first time in 108 years. That was like the longest time a team hasn't won the World Series. So I would do it. I would do it. So definitely would do that. So those would be my choices too.
I like those, man.
The passion.
I would watch those. I would be there day one. I'm camping out in front of the theater.
That's my boy, man. See, everybody listen to this. Get a best friend like Nick Johnson, please. Do yourself a favor.
You're too kind. I'm just the guy that likes movies.
Dude, oh man, dude, it would be so good. Yeah, guys, let us know in the comments below and on the YouTube, on Spotify, like, what would you guys do a biopic of, or who, or what, or let us know. We want to hear from you guys. Alrighty, my friends and my good sir, we are now coming to the end of the show, and with every end of the show, we do a thing called the one-on-ones. We do a one TV show and one film recommendation for you guys that we think that movie or show that we love dearly want to share the recommendation with you lovely people. So Nick, my friend, what are your one-on-ones of this week?
So for my movie one, it's this film called Legion, starring
Ooh.
Paul Bettany, Kevin Durant, not the basketball player, um, Dennis Quaid, Tyrese Gibson was in it,
Our
and
boy.
it's yeah, and it's a cool movie. It's a little fun watch. It's basically Paul Bettany plays an angel, and like basically he comes down, like he cuts off his wings and he comes down to earth to be a human so that he can protect it was like someone was pregnant. He wanted to protect them from basically God's wrath, because it was kind of like in the Bible how like in Noah's Ark there was a certain point where in the book of Genesis with the regarding the story of Noah's Ark, there was a point where God was like, you know what, y'all just keep acting up, I'm done, I'm about to flood the earth. It was like that in this movie, except instead of flooding the earth with water, God apparently was like, I'm gonna just send angels to just wipe everybody out. I'm tired of y'all. Y'all is just acting up. And Paul Bettany's character was like, he still had faith in humanity. So he didn't even like ask God for permission to come down and protect everybody. He rebelled. He did it in secret. And since he doesn't have like angel wings or anything like that, it's basically just people stuck in a diner in the middle of nowhere with like a bunch of guns just shooting up like all these supernatural beings coming to take the or not to take but to kill a woman who's pregnant with the Messiah. And oh, you know what? I almost forgot. Shane Black. Is that his name? Shane Black?
Who did who wrote Nice Guys, Kisses Bang Bang, Lethal Weapon?
Okay, no, my bad. He was I got the names mixed up, but
Oh,
he was
Lucas Black.
Who?
Oh, Lucas Black from Tokyo Drift.
Lucas Black from Tokyo Drift. Yeah, he's kind of like the main-ish character. Like he was in it because he was in love with the woman who was pregnant with the child who would end up becoming the Messiah. And it's just a fun little one-off movie. It's like a dark horror action film. And yes, it's a really good watch. Tyrese obviously fucking kills it in that movie. But yeah, Legion, story about an angel who decides to rebel against God, come down to Earth, and basically defend the future of humanity, to put it concisely. But it was a really fun watch. And for my shows, you know what? I'm gonna do two shows this time. Number one show, I already mentioned it earlier, Martin, starring of course Martin
Great
Lawrence.
sitcom.
It is hilarious,
funny.
and it follows the character Martin Payne, and it's like him with his girlfriend Gina, played by Tashina. Pardon me, damn, I'm sorry. I did not sleep last night at all, at all, you guys. So I might be tripping over my words.
You're good.
Um, but but no, yeah, and it's sorry, give me 1 second. Cut this part out, Doug, if you don't mind. I'm teasing.
It was Tisha Campbell.
Tisha Campbell. That's right, because Tashina Arnold was Tisha Campbell's friend. Yes, thank you. So we got excuse me, Martin Lawrence as Martin Payne, his girlfriend Tisha Campbell, who played his girlfriend Gina, the late Thomas Michael Ford, who played Martin's best friend Tommy, Carl Anthony Payne the second, who played his friend Cole, and Tashina Arnold as Gina's friend Pam. So that's kind of the situation. That's the main cast, and obviously, as I mentioned earlier, Garrett Morris is in the show, and he plays Martin's boss Stan. But yada yada yada. The show's about Martin Payne. He lives with his girlfriend. He has these adventures, or rather misadventures, sometimes with his girlfriend and with his friends, and it's just a funny like sitcom. It's kind of like if Martin Lawrence said, "I'm gonna do my version of Friends." It's not exactly like that, but just so
It's
for people
funnier.
who maybe haven't seen it yet, that's kind of the situation. And Martin Payne, he works at a radio station, and that's one of the things I liked about this show is typically you'll start off the show and the main character has to like build his way up in his career, This one starts off, he's kind of already on top. So like, job wise, he's already there, great relationship, great friends and everything like that. And it's just really funny. It's elements of like, kind of how I said like a Martin Lawrence version of like Friends. Is some SNL type stuff because there will be like skits that kind of open up the show, so to speak, or rather cold opens. And Martin Lawrence, he plays a bunch of different characters. He plays his character Stan, who's like a security guard, a goofy old man security guard. There's a Dragonfly Jones who like Martin Lawrence plays him.
Shanae.
Sinead, yeah, like Martin Lawrence plays like his own mom, and he keeps the mustache, but he puts like a wig and like lipstick on over it, and like the mom character is low key Big Mama's house,
Yeah,
like not
prequel.
2.0, but like kind of like like a prelude to that because
Yeah.
it's more or less like the same voice, but it's a really funny show. And just the Martin Payne character is fucking crazy because he's always talking like the most reckless to people. Like there was one episode, where, and I hope this doesn't paint him in a bad light because it is a really funny show. But there was like one episode where he was trying to like watch TV, and Gina, like she had to like talk to him about something, and she's like, man, I gotta talk to you like right now. He's like, hold up, man, I'm watching the game. She turns the TV off. The As soon as the TV turns off, he stands up. He's like, woman, have you lost your damn mind? And it's like, not that that's necessarily funny, but it's just how animated the Martin Payne character is. And a lot of these misadventures that he finds himself in, it'll be because like he was either just like talking reckless to someone, or he was just kind of like doing too much, so it's really fun to watch. Great show, lasted 5 seasons. um and for my second show, because I'm watching this with Caitlin now, Interview with the Vampire. It's an
That's
AMC
right.
show, but we're watching it on Netflix. And um, it's a fun show. Very dark, it's because it's based off of Anne Rice's book of the same name. But I had they made a movie about it, about the book, like in the 90s. I think it came out like 94, 95, and it had like Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, Kirsten Dunst, Antonio Banderas, Christian Slater, man. Like, and it's cool to see like a newer rendition of it, because a
Yeah.
lot of the story is the same, a lot of the events are the same, but it kind of takes place in like different time periods. Like the Brad Pitt Tom Cruise one took place, it was like the 1800s or something. This one, or like the flashbacks took place in like the 1800s roughly. This newer one, the flashbacks take place in, it's like the 1920s through the 1930s or 40s. And it's able to kind of like go into like darker places than the movie originally did. Definitely not one that you want to watch with your family if you have like little kids or whatever, but because it's very mature, but it's a fun show. And I got 2 episodes left of this season. The way the previous episode that I just watched ended, it was insane. And it has a very, very strong pilot. So like when I watched the first episode, and like by the end of the episode, I was just hooked. Because it was one of they ended in such a way where it's like, holy shit. They ended in a way where
One of those.
yeah, like it just grabs you. Like, again, very dark. It's vampires, so it's a bunch of unholy shit going on. And I was raised as a Christian, but I do like my TV shows and movies. But it was a really it's a fun watch. And I hopefully they keep making it. I hope it's not one of those shows that's just a one season show. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see multiple
Yeah,
seasons
I
just
know
to
what you
see
mean.
yeah, you feel me? Just to see the story continue. Because also, um, the Anne Rice characters, like they all exist in like other movies and stuff. Like, have you heard of that movie Queen of the Damned with Aaliyah?
It sounds familiar.
Because it came out like 2003 or something, and it was it's vampires. I think she played like the Queen of Vampires. I didn't see it, but I was watching a a breakdown, or not a breakdown, but a comparison of the movie Interview with the Vampire to the book Interview with the Vampire, and the
Oh,
guy that
interesting.
was, yeah, the guy that was doing it, like he was, talking about this is what was similar, this is what was different, and da 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 da. And I again, while I'd never seen Queen of the Damned, like as a kid, whenever I was in like Hollywood Video or Blockbuster, I would always like see that the DVD cover. And even though these like Queen of the Damned and Interview with the Vampire, they were released like 10-ish years apart. I had no idea that Queen of the Damned was based off of the Anne Rice characters, because Tom Cruise's character
Huh.
in Interview with the Vampire Lestat, he's in like he's a character in Queen of the Damned. He's played by a
Yeah.
different actor, obviously, because it's not like the same continuity. It's just kind of like, it's different, but you know what I mean? Like it's one of
I
those things
got
where
you.
it's like Hollywood was just like, let's just make a vampire movie real quick, but it's based off of like the same series. But like it's interesting to see, not like how like influential it is, but just that her ideas kind of
Yeah.
went past just the one movie. Because there's even, I think on AMC, it's there's like this Alexandra Daddario show based off of another book written by Anne Rice. The name escapes me. It's something to do with witches.
Of
But
course.
yeah.
Vampires and witches.
But yeah, so Martin, Interview with the Vampire, and Legion.
It's you, man. You got a pack three red there, man. I see you.
I'm telling you, I'm like, you know what? I got to bring my A game today.
Well, a few things. Like I hate you because Martin was on my list of shows to recommend throughout the podcast. So
Was it really? Wow.
yeah, of course, Martin. Oh, dude,
Great minds think alike.
dude, you said how you said it kind of reminds you of Friends. I think Martin's funnier than Friends. Hot take, hot take,
No,
hot
I'm
take.
with you on that.
Hot
It's
take.
definitely more colorful, and that's not necessarily a black joke, but like no disrespect, because Friends was like a comfort show for me growing up, but it is, yeah. I mean, yeah,
It's
it's
Martin.
at the very least it's more interesting than Friends.
It's a very underrated sitcom. It's not one that you think of like again. You think of Fresh Prince. You think of
Yeah,
Seinfeld. You
it's
think of
not
Friends.
nearly, it's not talked about enough as it should be.
Yeah, it's a good show. So I'm jealous, but I'm not gonna lie. I thought you were gonna say Legion as your show as well. That'd have been so fun.
Oh no, the X-Men show.
Yeah,
No, 'cause
I was like, if Nick does Legion as a show too, I'm gonna cry laughing because that's genius.
I should have done that, because I keep doing this. Like I saw like the first one or two episodes. I haven't finished it yet. I keep starting like shows and movies and then just not finishing them. Like all
You and I
this
both,
shit just
man.
keeps like popping up. Oh
Bro,
my gosh.
you're not alone, man. This is why you and I are brothers and best friends, man. I'm the same way. I'm the same
I'm telling you,
fucking
man. And even it's funny too, because this isn't a spoiler, but on the show Interview with the Vampire, the main character, Louis, he's talking to the Lestat character, and he was talking shit to him. He's like, bro, all you do is like you'll read a book for 10 pages and then you'll just move on to the next thing. And I was like, that felt a little bit personal, but whatever.
I took that personally.
Yeah, he's like, I took that person. That
Personally.
was all I needed. That was all I needed right there.
I love when you do that for some reason. It makes me laugh every time you do it. um, but I was waiting for you. But it's funny. I remember in college. I think they're promoting Legion like on campus or like near campus, whatever, like the show. And
Yeah.
they had the worst like tagline. The tagline was "Come inside and unleash your power."
Oh hell no.
And I said,
That's why it took me so long to
"Yo."
watch it. I was like, I'm not into those types of shows.
And I said,
That's
"Yo, come on, guys, come on, guys, for real, man. Come on, man. Like, be better than this. Come on, be better than the Gap."
no, that's a wild advertisement. That's insane. Someone had to have known what
come
it
on,
sounded
right?
like.
Come on,
Someone was like, I'm
FX.
gonna sneak this past my boss and just see how this plays out.
Come on. I did walk with Moses. I mean, Moses was dying. He was like, "Oh, come on, guys." We were like, "Yeah, guys, like this isn't
Yeah, come
okay."
inside and release your powers. Like, all right.
Come on, all right, yeah, you asked. All right, be careful now. Watch yourself.
Yeah.
And speaking of vampires, you've seen the Fright Night remake, right?
With Colin Farrell.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Fucking love that movie. That's a almost like top three fair horror movies for me, probably too. Behind
Oh, wow.
probably behind Barbarian, because I love that movie so much.
No, Friday Night was dope. Friday Night was dope. As a matter of fact, because I had rented that, and that was like also my introduction to Kid Cudi,
No
because he had done a,
kidding.
yeah,
The
he did a
song, yeah,
song
yeah.
for it, and the music video was on the bonus
So
features.
good.
It's
I
fucking man. Oh,
love
I
that
gotta
song.
find that song again.
It's no one believes me, Kid Cudi. 'Cause
No one believes
Cudi's my
that.
favorite artist of all time. I love the front. Honestly, Front Night it's the remake done right.
I gotta see the original one, but I believe you.
I've seen both, but the original is cool too. But the remake to me is it's so much better. It's so much better in so many different ways. I love that. So yeah, I wanted to shout out Front Night real quick. For me, my movie of the week is a comfort movie of mine, and that is that awkward moment with Zac Efron, Miles Teller, and Michael B.
Hmm,
Jordan. I don't know.
that's a good one.
I love that movie, man. It's just I feel like obviously rom coms definitely like are for everybody, but like I feel like I've seen a good like male rom com in a while, like a kind of bromance rom com, and it also was kind of like early career Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller. Like Zach was already kind of like big at that time because of High School Musical and like 17 Again, stuff like that. But also it was kind of like really early Michael B. Jordan and Miles Teller before Fantastic Four. So
Yeah,
but
before the dark time.
before the dark times. Now all three of them are like huge actors now. But like I don't know, man. The chemistry between all three of them is like so like I don't know. It's so fun to watch, and they have like really good chemistry. I believe their brotherhood. I believe their bromance. All three of them, and like they're just really fun to watch together. I mean, the movie itself is kind of like it's kind of cheesy, but I don't know. Like I feel like we haven't like good bromance rom com in a long time. And again, you had three actors kind of like before. I mean, Zach obviously, but before like Michael B. and Miles blew up. It's just a fun movie. It's really cute. It's very again really it's fun. Just three dudes kind of like trying to find love when they're 20, late 20s, early 30s, like in New York City. And it's fun. It's relatable. It's silly. It's quirky, and it's a fun movie. I haven't watched it in a long time. I put it on like the other day in the background. I was doing something, and I was like, "What? This is a fun, cute movie. Good soundtrack too. It's fun. And again, great. And I love the chemistry between all three of them. So really fun movie to watch, but really underrated if you ask me. So I'm gonna go with The Awkward Moment as my movie, and for my show, you know, in lieu of SNL and Saturday Night, I think I might have recommended this show before. So if I have, please forgive me. Call me out in the comments. It's a show called The Offer on Paramount Plus. It's also Miles Teller. It's about the making of The Godfather and how
Yes, yes, yes.
Paramount did not want to make this movie at all, and the mob was very against this movie too. Like they were like, "Oh fuck, no, you ain't doing this movie. This is disrespect to us and our culture." And obviously, it's very Hollywoodified for sure with the violence and the kind of like the craziness. But Paramount was very against it. Paramount didn't want to do it. No one wanted to be part of this. They didn't want Al Pacino. Francis Ford Coppola was kind of running amok on set, very kind of like very demanding for his movie and stuff like that. And Miles Teller plays Al Rudy, who's the main producer of the film, and the first one only, especially on how he went through like shit. Like he went through shit and hell to make that movie. Like again, he met with the mafia, he met with the mob. Paramount hated him. Like Paramount almost got him fired and like banned off the set, like off the company, whatever. But it's a really cool show. It's really like it kind of came and went, unfortunately, and I don't know. It's a really well made show, and it wasn't really well received either from critics for some reason. But I love movies. I love shows and movies about making movies. I love Entourage, stuff like that. Like I love movies and shows when they're making shows about movies and shows. So yeah, obviously again, I'm a sucker for that. So very underrated show. If you love The Godfather, you definitely love this show. I think good performances from Juno Temple, Miles Teller, what's his name? Dan Fogler, I think is his name. He was in the Fantastic Beasts movie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the big dude. He was really good as Francis Ford Coppola. And it's a really well-made show. Very well-made show. I think Giovanni Ribisi is good, but he's kind of over. I think kind of like miscast as this kind of like mafia head, I'll say. But it's a very, very well-made show. Very, very well-paced. very engaging. I think it's like 10 episodes, and they go by really quick, and they keep you really kind of like guessing of like, oh, what's going to happen, though you know what's going to happen, obviously, but like just the hell that this production was to make one of the greatest movies of all time is crazy. So worth the watch on Paramount Plus. I think it's a really good show, very underrated. Again, it kind of came and went back in 2022, and like really no one watched it, but it's an amazing show. So check out The Offer and That Awkward Moment. Alrighty, guys. So, Nick, where can our lovely audience and viewers find you at home on the socials?
So you can find me on YouTube at Dawning Vision, capital D as in Dawning, capital V as in Vision, and on Instagram at Dawning Vision, all lowercase, all one word. And hey, you know what? If you want to follow my personal Instagram, it is Ahmad Johnson 98. You can find me anywhere and everywhere that they have podcasts. And maybe you can also find me in your heart.
Aw, that's so sweet, Nick.
I'm just trying to put some positivity out there. You feel me?
Hey, I tell you what, that's better than a few weeks ago when Nick was like, no, Nick, when Moses was like, hey, find me at your mama's house.
Oh my God. This man is a different breed.
That was sweet. That was sweet. Insane. No, Nick, that was very sweet. That warmed my heart, man. Oh, man, that's sweet. You can find me, of course, personally on Instagram. On the Instagram, at the Young Jones. You can also find me on Twitter or X at Capri Sun SON, and you can find the show's socials, all one word, at Midway Avenue Productions on Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube. I also want to shout out our boy Moses. I think he got put on a magazine I saw today. Right. So man, look at you, look at Nick, look at our boys, man. Nick and Moses both on magazines, man. You guys are Mr. GQs. Like, come on now,
hey,
man.
We're just trying, man. We're trying to move our way up.
Same for the rest of us, man. Same for the rest of us.
Hell no.
Let me find his thing. Yeah, if you want to read his article, I'll put it in our link tree too. But yeah, Voyage LA. Moses got featured and about his life and journey as a filmmaker. So man, Nick with Essence Magazine, and now Moses with Voyage LA. So man, check out our boys, man. Our boys are doing good things, being really highlighted for all the hard work they put in. So our again, we're in the presence of greatness, as they say. So check out our
kind.
No, I'm proud of you boys, man. Very well deserved. So check out Nick's article. Check out Mo's article. I'll probably put it in the link tree after the show. But again, all our stuff is on our link tree on our Instagram too. So follow our stuff. Yeah, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of the podcast. To our new listeners, hope you enjoyed your first outing with us rambling about all things movies, TV, and entertainment. And to our returning guest, returning podcast fan, thank you so much for tuning in again to our ramblings. Like Nick said, you are forever in our hearts. As always, my friends, we will see you guys at the movies.